Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Mr. Speaker, I came here to make sure our republic doesn't die by unanimous consent in an empty chamber, and I request a recorded vote. Mr. Speaker, I came here to...
What an asshole. Am I right? Welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest internet show. Bell the body snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, I think, is still Corey Walsh.
And he's still Dan Griffin. I played this song, Dan, because we watched in a weird-ass fucking bizarro world the most conservative Republican lose his seat, not because of Democrats, not because of progressives, not because of leftists, but because of Republicans, mostly boomers, because at this point, like I think it's just boomers must have ate a lot of lead paint and played in a lot of asbestos as children, and they're just fucking retarded. And
you're a fat loser and you have body odor.
And you watched one of the most conservative Republicans lose their seat. And not because Trump endorsed him, not because he
Endorsed his opponent, you mean?
Yeah, but not endorsed him, but endorsed his opponent. And not because the different things he voted on. Like, remember, he got boosted through the ranks and he garnered all this attention, not because of the things he voted for, but because, and not even necessarily the things he voted against, but it was who took those as a slight against their existence, and it was an existential crisis for them. And you saw a random person out of 427 people get $30 million thrown at them.
A person, not even a person, Corey, an empty suit.
An empty suit.
Literally an empty suit.
Who even refused to debate Thomas Massie.
Yeah.
$30 million from super PACs that are like controlled by foreign governments, mind you. To remember when Democrats were clutching their pearls over like 160K from the Russians during 2016 for Trump.
Yeah.
But $30 million, not for a presidential election, but a random representative out of like 430.
The 4th District of Kentucky. And not a general election. A primary.
A primary.
Corey, the gaslighting, to your point here, has already begun. And Twitter is mostly full of the people that are happy about Massie's loss. It's mostly, the Zion Nazis and the few boomers that are on Twitter's, cope and seethe, massholes, that kind of bullshit, because that's all they know how to say. And I gotta tell you something, Corey. For a minute on Tuesday evening, I was seething. I mean, you guys can go back and check the text thread that I was sending you guys. I was in a mood. I don't normally talk politics with my wife, okay, but she was out, and I was sitting down here doing work in the basement here, trying to get our studio ready. I hope you like my primered walls now. At least I have a white wall behind me. And she came home, and I even started bitching to her about this, and I don't usually do that shit. I was in a dark, dark place Tuesday evening. But that's why we don't do these instant reaction shows. I've had a couple of days to deal with this. And I got to tell you, I've swallowed the white pill on this. I think there's a lot to look forward to here. And how do we know that? Well, number one is we're 2 days now removed from this primary, and still Thomas Massie lives rent-free in all of these people's heads. Ed Gelrein won this primary, and yet still everyone that hates Thomas Massie, all they can do is talk about Thomas Massie. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One is because he lives rent-free in their heads, but also because there's nothing to discuss when it comes to Ed Gelrein. He's literally an empty suit. Nobody knows what he believes in other than instituting a
An
draft.
upturned mop with a bucket on his head, dude.
Yep, but the gaslighting has already begun. And this is kind of what I was getting at to your point, Corey. The number one thing that we keep hearing is that it's not about, it was never about Israel. It was about how Thomas Massie broke with Trump, which is mostly easy to debunk. I mean, all you have to do is go check the man's voting record, and they'll say things like, well, he voted against him on the things that matter. He voted against him because he wants men to play in women's sports, and he wants open borders. And, you know, he's a Democrat, right? That's the thing we keep hearing, is that Thomas Massie is actually a Democrat. But why do they think that? Well, to your point, Corey, it's because they're retarded boomers. These are people that saw videos or really TV campaign ads showing Thomas Massie holding hands with AOC and Ilhan Omar walking into a hotel room.
AI videos.
By the way, this is an actual video that was played in a campaign ad. It was an AI CCTV video. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't think that there were 72-year-olds in the 4th District of Kentucky that saw that ad and thought and didn't think it was real, I've got oceanfront property in Nebraska to sell you.
You got oceanfront property in Kentucky to sell them. That's close to the house. They'll believe you.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So that's been the gaslight, right? It's all been about how the people of Kentucky, of the 4th District of Kentucky, have spoken, and they prefer Trump to Thomas Massie. And listen, dude, like, that might even be true, but I find it very, very interesting that every time a terrible Democrat wins a race, what's the first thing they blame, Corey? You know the answer to this question.
Racists or boomers?
Soros money.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Soros money that comes in, that got that Democrat elected, dumped into by George Soros, but not a word about $32 million in Israel lobby money that went through that went into this primary race in the 4th District of Kentucky. So why have I swallowed the white pill? Okay, that's one of the reasons why. The fact that this was the only man in Congress, not the only man, but one of, people that you could maybe count on one hand, that scare the living daylights out of these people to the point where they had to dump $32 million to get him removed and install an empty suit. That, to me, is a good sign that just one man can scare the shit out of these people that much. What happens when there's 2 Thomas Massies in Congress? What happens when there's 5 Thomas Massies in Congress? What happens when somebody like Thomas Massie is on the verge of winning a presidential race? What happens then? Do they invoke the Samson option? I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but I think I'm only half kidding at this point.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at with this, right? I'm of two minds, because then, like, you look at this and you go, well, fuck. Citizens United, like, we've literally bastardized the voting process in America. Like, you just watched the equivalent of 40 people who would live a very good life in America's annual salary combined just to blow it on a primary.
Mm.
And you're watching this whole entire system. And who was it? Was it George Carlin? He talks about it's one big club and you're just not in it.
Mhm.
He said that damn near 30, 40 years ago. But like, you're looking at how this pyramid, let's call it a pyramid scheme. It's a fucking pyramid scheme of at the very bottom to where they are, the two parties between the two of them are dictating the choices before you even think you have a choice.
I can add
The
to that
vote
too,
for
Corey.
the vote, like the vote for the actual election isn't for another 6 months away. And the vote is going to be against a Republican and a Democrat. You watch these dirty tactics happen just in the Republican Party. And so when I say I'm of two minds when it comes to this, I was really, really depressed in this. It was like, I cannot believe our system is this fucked up at this point.
It's a huge disappointment. I would agree with
A
that. yeah.
very big disappointment. To where it's like you're watching a guy who all it took, like, like Judas in the Bible. How much did it take him to betray Jesus? 12 shillings. It took 30 million shillings. I don't know what the equivalent to a shilling to a dollar is. Like, hey, Bell, go ahead and look that up.
Please don't.
But you're watching, like, how much is it cost to just like sway public through propaganda and all this shit? It's $30 million in an insignificant race.
Well,
and so like that really depresses me. But then it's also like it's a huge punch in the face in a fight, and you have two choices. You could realize, oh, he's got a nasty right hook, I need to look out for that. Or you get on your knees and you just cower up and cover your head and hope he stops kicking you and hopes the kicks don't hurt as much as the punch. Right? It's like, okay, this is how the game is actually played. All right. You learn from this, the fucking rules of war or whatever. It's fucking war at this point. And now it's like, all right, you still at the end of the day still have to play by, basically, you might have more money, but you still have to play by the same rules as you or I do when it comes to like the voting processes and how this shit works, right? At least has to appear like it follows the same rules. And like, I don't know. Like it's also inspiring. Like I feel like Thomas Massie in this defeat created probably, if there's at least 100 Thomas Massies created out of his loss of one, I'd say that's a win. And people
you're bringing in the insurgent math, Corey.
It is. It's insurgent math. It's exactly what it is. It's insurgent math. Like at this point, it's like, I don't want to say I feel radicalized, but I definitely feel inspired. Like, maybe instead of just going and getting some ballot initiative votes, I need to go and blow something up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm fucking kidding.
Jesus Christ.
I'm fucking kidding.
It is actually
but what
kind
I'm
of
saying
funny
is
that you
maybe
say
I
that.
need to get involved more and get involved in some grassroots organizations and actually like maybe try to get some shit done. Maybe just hold just bullshit town halls. Maybe that's something we should do, Dan. Just go rent a space at the library for 3 hours and make a social media event and be like, hey, let's talk politics. And just make it vague like that and get everyone in just talking about it. And then just make it, you know what I mean? Just creating that era, that like that aura in a vibe in a room, realizing that a mega supporter and a fucking commie leftist have a little bit in common, because at the end of the day, they all do want a little bit of bread on the table. They want to be able to survive and have a house and all of these different things. While now their means of getting there might be vastly different, even though it's not, because the mega supporters are supporting straight up communism right now. But what is what I'm getting at is,
do we cast out boomers in this? Do we not let them come?
I'll get back to you on that.
I'm serious though.
I know you are, and we'll get back to that. But what I'm saying is as disappointed as I am in the Thomas Massie loss, and how I do feel blackpilled for the first day, because I'm usually the guy on here, and I'm pretty happy-go-lucky. I'm always like, there's still something happening. Yeah. I was pretty blackpilled there for a moment, where it was just like, fuck, the game is cooked, and it's like, you know what? It's not. You got to get scrappy. And there's no time more than ever, I guess, for everyone to kind of just fucking do something, right? And
somebody needs. No, you sound like a boomer. Somebody needs to do something.
And I know that, and I'm not committing to anything, but it's like that's what I guess when I'm at when I'm two minds. I was really fucking defeated and sad with this shit.
You are one pathetic loser.
Just sad and sulking. It's like, well, I guess someone's got to do something. So this is me announcing my presidential bid for 2028. 2028. I got one vote in 2024. And
I'm so sorry.
if we get two, that's progress. That's 100% increase. Let's make this train happen. Corey for president 2028.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but I know that's facetious. But what I was getting at basically is like you were saying, this is inspiring because it's like, okay, so that's what it takes, but it's like, all right, that's what it's gonna take. It makes you, it does make you think. Like, I wonder how much money AIPAC's gonna throw at me if I gain some traction in some bullshit fucking campaign.
It's some county commissioner's race or something.
All right, let's see how much AIPAC's gonna throw towards me. Just to keep continuing to show, because before this, AIPAC being a foreign lobby was this anti-Semitic conspiracy, and now they're celebrating the fact out in the open. Like they're celebrating.
Would you like me to read the AIPAC tweet from?
Yeah, read it verbatim, just so
right
people
after,
don't think I'm over here wearing a tinfoil hat.
So this was right after Thomas Massie was. I don't even know if he had conceded yet. He may have, but it was pretty early on. An AIPAC tweet that said, "Congratulations to U.S. Navy SEAL Ed Gelrein for defeating anti-Israeli incumbent Thomas Massie. Pro-Israel Americans are proud to back candidates who support a strong alliance, a strong American-Israeli alliance, and help defeat those who work to undermine it. Being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics."
Damn, at least they were smooth enough to not call it anti-Semitism.
Well, dude,
3 days.
3 days before that, that was an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory to say that about Thomas Massie. So let's break down real quick. Let's do the autopsy report on Thomas Massie's loss, right? Because I actually think that's the part of this that is that has white-pilled me the most when we look at how Thomas Massie lost this race. Now, listen, there's a lot of speculation that there's something really fishy about this race. About this election. And I see
that sounds QAnon-ish, but
nope. I see how people get to that point, right? There was like 34,000 new voters entered in, all of which seemed to go to Gelrein. The fact that Gelrein had, 10,200 and something mail-in ballots, and there were and like 200 that weren't.
No. So I think it was like 10,800 mail-in ballots during this election, but then they're like Massie lost by 10,200.
And the fact that the voter turnout doubled in this primary from 50-something thousand to 100-something thousand, and Massie lost votes, a little suspicious. Like, obviously, none of this is provable. Like, I'm not necessarily out here claiming voter fraud or anything like that. But, like, those are interesting questions, I think.
It's weird that this happened while Ashley St. Clair is out there claiming that Elon Musk did something to the 2024 election. Which... honestly, Trump had the whole entire culture. I don't think the turnout would have been different with a Trump becoming president compared to fucking Harris. I don't think that the turnout would have been different at all, whether or not there was meddling. But
so I had to say that, but like, let's stick to what we actually do know for now, right? If something comes out, we'll absolutely be the first to.
Well, objectively, those are things that we do know. People are interpreting it differently, but
right. The interpretation is interesting. So let's go with like what we actually know happened that caused this loss. And I got to tell you something straight up. Boomers are absolutely beyond saving at this point. And I'm dead serious when I say this. They need to be cast aside politically for any sort of Israel. Or, oh my God!
I'll go to say that
I almost Freudian slipped there. America First movement.
No, what we need to do with boomers is just
careful,
tuck them in, just put them to bed. It's bedtime,
dude.
It is like when it comes to their opinions, when it comes to advice at this point, like I know you're supposed to respect your elders and stuff like that, but you're talking about a generation that took one of the most economic powerhouses, took the most powerful country in the world and took
hoarded the
the
wealth.
most potential of any nation ever. Like China, I completely disagree. I'm not a fucking pinko. I completely disagree with the communist system. I want to be able to say fuck the US government, which at the trajectory on, I might not even be able to say that 2 years from now. But right now I can. And in China, you can't do that. They have a social credit score thing. They have their communist system. But really, let's be honest.
Look at that. It says TikTok.
Their economic system ain't that much different than ours. Okay. But
Not at this point.
Theirs fucking works. Theirs works for them. A lot of people there, they watch like the children in China right now are going to have a better life than the parents and the grandparents. Here, maybe not. For the first time since the 50s, since the boomers fucking took over, younger people than us aren't guaranteed, based on the trajectory, that they are going to have a higher standard of living than the current adults in the room right now. The boomers took a system with a 50-year fucking head start because China, the country that's now competing with us, it's all of a sudden the big threat that we're not allowing their product to be sold here, with saying the quiet part out loud of, well, they're figuring out a better way to do it than a free market system, which only adds fucking juice to the idea that the free market system in America isn't working when capitalism is supposed to be fucking great. We got to use protectionist policies to protect it. That's some bullshit.
What are you getting at, Corey? You want to tuck boomers in and pat them on the head?
Let me keep going because I'm still fucking boomers. And here we are doing shit like that with China. And these boomers, China was killing birds thinking they were eating seeds. All of Europe was decimated by fucking World War II, and Japan was nuked. And the boomers took this 50 fucking year head start of an economy that one spouse in the house had to work, the other one got to stay home and nurture and take care of the children, creating community. They all own homes. They all were working jobs where they could get out of high school and they could take care of a whole fucking family. And you took this great system with optimal prosperity and completely threw it in the dirt. You threw our diplomatic word in the dirt. No country fucking trusts us because you either listen to what we say, we're going to beat the shit out of you.
I just paid $88.
You completely
Very successful, very rich.
The fucking US dollar with this American might that was held up by a fucking house of cards.
You've done a hell of a lousy job.
Sanction everyone with it, so they're all forcing themselves to do it. So the whole entire livelihood here that was based on this petrodollar that you're now fucking destroying, like you took everything and you just completely fucking destroyed it. And then you bitch at the younger people because they think that the system that you're telling them that it is, that you're marketing that it is, that this is capitalism, baby. And everyone's like, please, sir, I just want to own a house. And they're like, pull your bootstraps up. And then they go, well, there might be a better system than this. And they go, fucking commie.
And he takes the fat shot. Drugs.
Fuck them. Like as a whole, it basically is what I'm saying. Too long, didn't read. They had their chance. They fucking blew it. And they just keep sticking around. But it's like something. It's like that person when your party is over and you're literally turning off lights. Because I've been on both ends of it. I've been the drunk asshole in the room where I don't realize the party's over and I'm still trying to hang out and be like, one more game of beer pong. And I've also been the person going, all right, dude, like trying to be nice. Like, it's time to go. Do you want me to call you an Uber? Are you okay to? You don't even want to ask the question, are you okay to drive? Because it might make them stay longer. It's like, here's your keys. I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out.
That was a hell of a tirade about boomers, Corey. We should have a separate show where Corey just bitches about boomers. I thought I was going to give boomers a hard time because This is
you don't want boomers to just wrap themselves around a tree at 3
no,
a.m.
no, because you started that whole tirade by saying that we need to just pat boomers on the head and tuck them in for bed. And I agree with that, which is why
me getting them drunk and having them wrap themselves around a tree.
Yeah, I don't know where we got to that point, but that's why I said we have to.
I had it bottled up, Dan.
We have to completely eliminate boomers politically. Like they have to just not even be a factor when it comes to any sort of
At
America.
least Mitch McConnell's out of there, so
yeah. Well, good. But that's not just because he's a boomer. He's awful and for other reasons too. But they are completely stuck where they are. You're not going to get boomers in an election anymore. You need them a little bit in like a general national presidential election, but for anything else, you need to just pretend boomers don't exist. Now, you're going to lose some elections to start with because they are still the biggest voting bloc, but they're not going to be for very long. So as we start this movement now,
that's the thing.
We
right?
have
you do the Steve Bannon technique, flood the zone.
Yeah, we have to just pretend like because that is another thing that has white-pilled me about this election was as we go over the autopsy report from Thomas Massie's loss, the number one thing was seeing the demographic differences in this primary election.
He won the vote of anyone under 65.
Thomas Massie did. Yes.
Thomas Massie did, yes.
Definitely 55.
I think it's 65.
I think you're right. But the thing with boomers and the reason they need to be cast aside politically going forward with this movement is because they do believe things like that CCTV video. Like it literally is, especially if you're a conservative boomer, Trump says jump and you say how high. That is where we are. This generation is hopeless when it comes to being propagandized. No, when it comes to being propagandized.
Everything.
Well, sure, but I'm just talking about from an electoral perspective. They are so easily propagandized. They don't even know what AI is. They don't know the fact that like every video you watch now, you have to think at least for a split second. Is that real or is that AI? When all you have to do is run a CCTV AI ad of Thomas Massie holding hands with AOC and Ilhan Omar and run it on Fox News, and you're going to get that BoomerCon's vote because how could he do that? What a traitor. You've got them. But the thing is, and this is where the establishment people are scared shitless by people like Thomas Massie. They have to know that. They have to know that once the boomers are gone, they're fucked. They have to find some other way. Now, we can talk in a little bit.
The stone. They're doing everything they can right now. This is $30 million into District 4 of Kentucky.
Yep.
Is a last gasp at an evening dying light.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny because you look on Twitter and what do you see? What did I say to open the show, Corey? Oh, you massholes, cope and seethe.
Yeah, everyone's still talking about Massie. No one's talking about Ed. No one gives a fuck about
Nobody's talking about Ed Gelrein. And you won't hear anything about Ed Gelrein going forward. He's just going to be an empty suit who sits in that seat and votes with Israel and votes with Trump and does whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah. Give him his 2 years or his 4 years and then watch. If Massie ran again for that district, he'd probably win again.
He would absolutely win again in maybe a 2028. Maybe
Massie, not move up to Michigan.
A 2030 race? No, I think he loves Kentucky. He really does love his home state. I don't blame him. Kentucky's pretty dope. He
is our Justin Amash. And look what happened to Justin Amash. They did the same shit. You know what? Honestly, I want to go look back and see how much of those two stories rhyme.
Yeah, that would be another interesting autopsy report. But the other part that came out of this was the good part, Corey. We can talk about the good part. Boomers are gone. We've lost them. They're retarded. They have no idea They genuinely just don't know what's going on. Like, I know that's like a really simple, like, throwaway thing to say, but it's reality. They have no fucking clue what is going on. Do you know how many boomers I know that if we lived in the 4th District of Kentucky would have voted for Ed Gelrein? Because of how much Fox News they watch. It does show that cable news is still very, very, very powerful, but for how much longer is what we don't know. Because boomers still watch it, and it's to the whole big beautiful bill conversation about how no, Thomas Massie's gone because he betrayed Trump and he went against Trump. This is kind of one of the brilliant things about the Israel lobby, is that that's how they sold this to boomers. You know that.
We got rid of the all senior citizens need life alert sounder, didn't we?
I think it's in there somewhere.
That's what I was looking for.
If not, I'll put it back in. But you do know that is how these ads were run, right, Corey? This wasn't. They didn't run these ads about Thomas Massie calling him an anti-Semite. That wasn't what they did. They ran ads saying that he's a Democrat, and they ran ads saying that he is disloyal to Trump. And that's a brilliant tactic by the Israel lobby that they sold it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what they did. Because that's all. This wasn't about Israel at all. This was about him breaking with Trump, leaving out the $32+ million that was put into a primary fucking race in the Kentucky.
But yeah, it was about Trump. He turned against Trump. Trump's still a powerhouse in the GOP. It's like
exactly.
Right, but who funded all of those ads being forced down everyone's throat?
Right.
Because
we're not going to have that conversation.
Because
Corey, are you saying that the people of the 4th District of Kentucky don't have agency? I'm waiting for that argument.
Right.
That's going to be a fun one. So let's talk about the good side. Let's talk about the good side of this autopsy report, which is, as we already mentioned a little bit, the youth vote. I was ready. If you go back and look at our text thread, I was ready to throw this all on our generation before I had a chance to think about this a little bit. And the reason is because
this is still responding. I kind of shut down. I was fucking black-pilled. I didn't even. If you looked, I didn't really respond to any of it. I was just like, what the?
This is still a major problem, right? And I know what people are going to say for anybody who's listened to this show for any period of time. Dan, I thought you said voting doesn't work. I think in general it doesn't. But there are specific situations where if you're paying attention, your vote can matter. This was one of those situations.
Mm-hmm.
This was the last, America First candidate that you kind of have left after Marjorie Taylor Greene walks away. And I do think that the youth not understanding what is going on in that particular district was probably a major problem. But there's another factor here, because if you look at the percentages of the vote, millennials and Gen Z were a very, very small percentage, but there's a reason for that other than they didn't go to the polls, which is another ridiculous rule that a lot of states have that kind of spit in the face of democracy, which was the fact that it was a closed primary. And if there's one thing that we know about young people, we know this because Corey and I are veteran young guys, they tend to be more liberal. We know this is true. Even in conservative districts, young people tend to be more liberal. Mm-hmm. So young people weren't able to vote in this primary because it was a closed primary. It's ridiculous.
Didn't register to a party yet.
Right. Open, like even in Michigan, like we don't technically have closed primaries, but when you go to a polling place to vote in a primary, you
have to vote
one
for
or the other
one party. Yeah.
You choose one or the other.
Like so
which hold on, Corey,
this a little bit more, right?
Let me just say this. Hold that thought. Why is that? Like, it should be so obvious why this is ridiculous, which is that I'm still going to a polling place to choose who my representative is going to be. Why does it make any sense in any democratic way that I can't go vote for who gets to face off for the Democrats and the Republicans, and they can make
So
their
that
case?
might actually answer your question, Dan. You said there was 100,000 new or how many new registered voters for this race?
Like 30, 34,000 is somewhere in that ballpark.
Those might have been people across the spectrum of age groups, right? From like the 18 to 25, the 26 to 30, the 34, the 35 to 46, all those groups overall. Those might have been people registering to vote for Massie for the first time ever. It's just the fucking boomers showed up. They always do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like that the actual thing of people being registered to vote, it might not be as sketchy. That might be a little bit more honest than like it being like skeptical of it. Going based on what you're saying, right? Because
We'll find out.
again, each state does have its own laws. Like you say, Kentucky has a closed primary. So you have to be registered to vote for one party or the other in the primary before it happens, like for a certain amount of days.
Mm-hmm.
In Michigan, because we have an open primary, even though I wouldn't even call it fucking open, because
it's not really open.
Because honestly, if it's a primary, I'm not hurting one party or the other if I choose which of the two from each party I prefer.
Yeah, you're still
Right?
voting.
I should
for
be able
your
to go in
representative.
and fucking fill that thing out like a Scantron I'm just guessing on a test with.
You pick the Democrat candidate you prefer, and you pick the Republican candidate you prefer.
I should be able to pick both.
Yep, 100%.
I'm not hurting
could not
either
agree more.
because each of them are having each of their own separate votes anyways. Why can't I choose the two I'd prefer to vote for? The two I decided that I would have to choose between 6 fucking months from now.
Right, and then let the winners of those two primaries, let them go win your vote.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
And I still think that like this is what you do. Make the presidential voting day.
Dig a little deeper.
I would be completely okay with like now at this point the mail-in vote does seem like it's something that might be something that's like now I get why people are saying this could be used in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you make the presidential vote a federal holiday. Everyone gets it off like it's Christmas. And then when it comes to voting days in a precinct, because like the precinct can expound to like a district, anything, any vote that happens in your precinct, that should be a no questions asked day off, like a funeral or a sick day. And it shouldn't count against your sick days. You should get precinct days from your place of work. And you get that day off. You make it a fucking thing. You make democracy and you make voting something that's exciting, like going to the fucking St. Patty's Day parade in Detroit or opening day in Detroit or whatever days that other states and cities have where it's just like a big festival where you might not get paid that day and you might not even get PTO for it. But it's a day off that just isn't going to affect your work job, and the legal and like the law is going to protect you from being admonished for it.
So let's talk about.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying, like it's just I don't know. I'm going.
It does. I've said that for a long time. Election day should be a national holiday. I've said that for a long time. Let's talk about the gloating that is taking place from.
It's all sponsored gloating, so I'm not even paying attention to it.
No. But here's the thing. I love it. I love that they're doing it. Do you know why? Because it is bringing through a false sense of security for the establishment. Go ahead. Take your win. Vote. Tell us to cope and seethe. You dumb massholes. You anti-Semites. As Mark Levin might say, you scum. you little fascists. I love it. Go ahead and gloat. Because I think as the quote unquote autopsy report has shown us with regards to the difference between the generations, Bro, this is just getting started. It really, really is. And they're still only focused on Thomas Massie. Bell, can you pull up? Can you pull up the it's a short the short concession speech video?
And while he's looking that up, I'm really excited to see we talk about this thing when it comes to any foreign policy, and you know what? And we talk about this when it comes to any sort of like federal domestic policy. I'm curious to see what the third, fourth, and fifth order of consequences are from this.
Now, let's make fun of the neocons for a little while, shall we? Shall we do that? I don't know why this isn't showing up. Bell? Yeah, there it is. So this is the beginning of Thomas Massie's concession speech. Many people have seen this. Many people maybe have not. It's like 25 seconds. Go ahead and roll it, Bell.
I'm actually 35.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Gelrein in Tel Aviv.
Oh.
I did get the call, I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way. I would have come out soon.
So if you listen to what
Thomas Massie, ladies and gentlemen, at 4 frames per second.
If you listen to what he said there, makes a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke about how Ed Gelrein was basically bought by the Israeli lobby, right? That's pretty much what that was. Pretty honorable otherwise. If you look at the reaction to that by the idiot boomercons and by the idiot neocons on Twitter. Yeah, what did I just see? I just saw what's his name? Oh Jesus. I don't know, that big black guy, that sheriff dude. What the hell's his name? And I've seen a lot.
I don't fucking know.
I've seen a lot of this pearl clutching over that, as if to say that Thomas Massie is an anti-Semite, of course, because that's just the easiest thing to say. But it's always like, oh, Thomas Massie resorted to that low blow of Jews. Thomas Massie, why do you hate Jews so much? And they go, he could have taken the high road. You're supposed to take the high road when you lose an election. And all of these people are supporters of Donald fucking Trump. The irony, like the absolute hypocrisy to shit on somebody for not being able to take an election loss who supports Donald Trump is laughably stupid.
Oh, I know.
It's just like, are you serious?
Like, do you not remember? You guys stormed the Capitol over this shit. And then people bitching and moaning in less than 240 characters on fucking Twitter. And then like calling that out.
Haters out there.
I mean, it is just so laughable. And I love the fact that he's still in their heads. They won. Like, they won. It's so funny because they're gloating and going, you know, suck it, massholes, cope, you anti-Semites, you fascists. And at the same time, they're also, all they can talk about is Thomas Massie. Like, it makes sense that we're talking about Thomas Massie. We're Thomas Massie supporters. And
yeah, you know, like, and I feel like
while we're disappointed and while we're upset, I'm sitting here still pretty excited about what the future holds. Not to sound morbid, but when the boomers die off. And by the way, I am not suggesting that anybody should go out and harm their grandpa or their dad. Okay. I'm not saying we need to go, you know, make this happen sooner, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm be honest with you, Corey. I'm kind of rooting for Father Time just a little bit. And I don't know if that's not okay to say, but I'm saying it.
Just come on, this hantavirus, fucking do something.
We need another COVID.
No, because the boomers force out a vaccine for it.
Yeah, they'll lock us down. They'll lock us down so we don't kill them.
Yeah, because it was the boomers that did that.
With our rat plague.
Yep.
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
That video that Dan played in the very beginning of the show about Thomas Massie talking about.
Do you want to play it again?
Yeah, play it again.
Oh, play it again.
This video right here is from 4 years ago, 7 years ago at this point.
Mr. Speaker, I came here to make sure our republic doesn't die by unanimous consent in an empty chamber, and I request a recorded vote.
Which is what Thomas Massie always does. Recorded vote. Recorded vote. What an asshole, right? What an asshole wanting transparency from our government. What a piece of shit.
That was for COVID. And who was the president in charge that told everyone to stay home for 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Do you believe that was Donald J. Trump?
No, he set the narrative, and don't get me wrong, 2 weeks after that, some states bucked it right away, and some states took that precedence from the federal government and ran with it and were locked down for a very long time.
You have to trust the government, Corey. Trust the government.
For
Trust
2
the
years,
government.
Your mother every night to fix your
Michigan
hot pockets
was on
and
the
make sure
latter
your
end.
Game Boy is turned on.
We were also one of the first, at the point based on our government, blue states to lift restrictions. But compared to the red states, it was dog shit here too. Like, it was like absolute bullshit. Once we realized that, like, once they started testing everyone, like at literally everybody, and that death rate within like the first month or two went from like 10% to like 0.001%. You should lift restrictions, because that's when all the red states started to do it. Some of the blue states really lagged behind and fucked up. Michigan held on longer than they should have, but we also released it a hell of a lot faster than a lot of other states did. And I would say that's probably because we had I think at the time our House was actually red and the Senate was red in our state. But that's local media or whatever. But here he is doing this, and Fauci became the villain of all this. But who was in charge under Trump during all this? Fauci. Who helped spur inflation by dumping trillions of dollars into the economy by fabricating a reason for everyone to stay home, or manufacturing a crisis and then dumping trillions of dollars into the economy? Trump started that. Biden, as much as he was at fault in all of this too, his money was trying to fix the problem in the first place. But when you have a really big fire because there's a lot of wood in it, you don't throw more wood in it. Only a retard would think that that's how you solve that problem.
Which is what Biden did.
And was what Biden did. Right. This wood is wet, though. The wet wood will help solve the problem of the dry wood that's on fire, is basically what Biden was doing. Still stupid. But Trump is the reason that the fire was there in the first place. Everyone just casts that off to the side and pretends that part of the problem.
You know what I do find a little concerning about this Thomas Massie loss?
Yingling flight. Me and Dan are both drinking it. Friend of the show.
I'm actually drinking a B43 at the moment, but yes, I do have some flights over here.
You son of a bitch! You were drinking flights earlier.
Yes, I was. Here's the empty can. Clink clink. The thing that I find out.
Why did you make the sound effect and then still attempt to make the real sound after?
It doesn't really do it. Sounds like a thump, doesn't it? But anyway.
Yeah, but everyone knows.
I think the bigger concern about how Ed Gelrein ended up winning this race isn't necessarily the things that we knew would happen, which is like Fox News is going to basically tell retarded boomers that Thomas Massie's a Democrat. I actually think, and Clint Russell made this point, and I thought it was brilliant because I don't know that I would have thought of it myself, and I don't know that anybody else would have thought of it, which was that where
Fox News for retarded boomers by retarded boomers.
Clint Russell pointed out that a lot of this was the silence from the people that might have helped, right? So like if we get into, I don't know if you want to, if anybody, not us, but if anybody wants to take a conspiracy angle on this, Where was TPUSA during this election?
Thomas Massie was one of Charlie Kirk's favorite fucking
and
congressmen.
I think you can deduce what conspiracy theory I might be suggesting when I say that. So where was TPUSA? Nowhere to be found. Where was the based wing of the Daily Wire? These are all Clint Russell's points. I don't want to take credit for any of these. Where was the based wing of the Daily Wire? Where was Matt Walsh? Where was Michael Knowles? Where were these people that kind of walk up to that line of bucking Ben Shapiro, but don't actually do it? But they kind of do it. They get there and then they kind of back off on it. Where were they? This was the first podcast I listened to following Thomas Massie's loss. They kind of walked me back from the brink.
Have you know who the Hodge twins are?
Yeah.
Have you seen them? They've been really bucking the whole Trump thing. Like I've
really
absolutely
they have.
Really.
They've been doing it, I think, basically ever since the first attack on Iran back last July.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, dude, that is another idiotic point that the neocons and their little lackeys keep bringing up about. Why
a lot of like the little country rappers who are grifting off them were too. There's still a bunch that are still riding Trump's dick to make a buck, but there are some that are like, what the fuck?
The July of 2025 is actually a huge part of this, right? Because this is the era where Thomas Massie really starts to go against Donald Trump on principle. And what happened in July of 2025?
Okay, so I'll tell you what happened in July 2025. July 2025 is when everyone realized
Operation Epic Fury.
Well, July 2025 is when everyone was calling out the bullshit on the Epstein fucking dodge and swerve and them not releasing the files when they promised they would.
And Operation Epic Fury.
Operation Epic Fury, and inflation wasn't down.
And it's funny that's when Thomas Massie really starts to go against Donald Trump, when a lot of other people
didn't change one bit.
No,
he didn't change one bit. His votes before that July of 2025 and after were the same. But when you're scrambling and you're scared and you know that you're in hot water, you're trying to plug as many holes as you can. And Thomas Massie was one hole to plug.
Well, I bring that up because, again, every once in a while, I try to avoid it, but every once in a while, I still get in these stupid online spats. I'm in therapy for it. I'm trying to detox from it, but every once in a while, I relapse. And I was in this argument on Twitter the other day about this moron that, of course, didn't have a profile picture and nobody knows who the hell they are. They're probably some AIPAC clone. Definitely wasn't a bot though, because they misspelled too many words. Was their point
almost like English was their second language?
Yeah, well, maybe. But their point was like, why did Thomas Massie start tweeting about the Epstein files so many times after this period of time? And my answer was like, I don't care. It's like, imagine saying that the reason somebody is bad is because they called out pedophilia and corruption too many times. Like, imagine that being why
pedophilia, corruption, and overspending that's causing inflation.
Not to mention, dude, it's so Thomas Massie himself has already explained this 65 ways from fucking Sunday, which is that, yeah, it started as you were pointing out, Corey, in July of 2025, because that's when everybody was going, okay, guys, where are the Epstein files? So yeah, Thomas Massie made it a huge point to talk about it a lot more often than maybe he was before, because just like so many others that voted for Donald Trump in November of 2024 were assured that we were going to get transparency on this thing. Because that was around the time, if you remember, that Dan Bongino and fucking Kash Patel were going on wherever they went, CBS or wherever, and we're like, yeah, we looked. There's nothing.
Yeah,
we don't believe you, asshole.
Yep, don't believe you at all. But Dan, speaking of autopsy reports, Maybe the Democratic Party will finally get their shit together and combat this.
I didn't read it, but they did release theirs, didn't they, from the Kamala election?
A newly released Democratic Party autopsy report analyzing why Democrats lost the 2024 presidential election. The report argues that the party lost the trust of many everyday Americans, especially working class, rural, non-college educated, and male voters, because Democrats appeared disconnected from voters' economic and cultural concerns.
But you literally could have just said that you could have not mentioned Democratic voters and just said Trump instead, and it would still apply.
I got more. According to the report, Democrats relied too heavily on anti-Trump messaging and traditional media while failing to build stronger grassroots relationships and state-level organizing. The analysis says Republicans were more effective at using social media, podcasts, digital outreach, and populist messaging to connect with the voters. And hey, Belle, real quick, I want you to look up what the cost of the Democratic autopsy report was. Like, how much money did they have to spend on like surveys and focus groups and different things like that. The report also criticizes internal Democratic strategy and campaign spending. It notes that the Harris campaign spent far more on advertising than direct voter outreach and field organizing.
Soros money!
Some Democratic officials argued the party focused too much on consultants and national messaging instead of local concerns like inflation, immigration, public safety, and cost of living. This was all found out by focus groups, consultants, and national messaging. No, I'm just kidding, but that's what it feels like. Another major theme was the party's declining support among young voters, men, and working class Americans. The report says Democrats failed to adapt to changing media habits and underestimated voter frustration over the economy. It also claims the party did not effectively prepare then Vice President Kamala Harris to take over after Joe Biden exited the race. At the same time, the article notes controversy surrounding the report itself. Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin criticized the document's quality, saying some conclusions lacked evidence and sourcing, and we need more sourcing, focus groups, and surveys to answer that question.
That'll get it done. That'll get it done.
The DNC had originally delayed releasing the report, which fueled criticism and internal tensions over transparency and accountability. So this is just a synopsis that I had run through ChatGPT over this.
He's talking about freedom.
Because I need the conclusion to it. Like, I don't need the Democrats to come out and tell me why they fucked up, because I have my ear to the ground and I'm a part of the regular American working class that I know why they fucked up. So it's funny that they're spending all this money to see why they fucked up, and then also acknowledging the fact that they spent money to know why they fucked up is also another part of why they fucked up.
It's all mental masturbation.
The article also points out why the report did not fully address what the report did not fully address, including concerns about Biden's age, the late candidate switch, the war in Gaza. We're not going to fully address that one.
Because they support it.
And broader ideological disagreements inside the Democratic Party. They mean these fucking progressives.
You know, I'm glad
these omissions weaken the report's credibility and voided some of the party's most contentious debates.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it actually does kind of tie into the Thomas Massie loss, where it just so the Gelrein victory is a chance for the neocons to celebrate, right? Because they got their little win or whatever. They're going to be overly confident. And then if a race like what Thomas Massie just went through took place at a national level, and Ed Gelrein had all of that money pumped into him. Like, let's say Ed Gelrein was like a Democrat or whatever that was put up against Thomas Massie in a general election, and all that money was spent by AIPAC to get Thomas Massie out in a general election. Ed Gelrein loses that race, like literally 100 times out of 100, right? You would agree with that? They would pull back and do the same thing. How the hell did we possibly lose this race? So, like, they're out of touch, but they won. And they're going to have this incredible false sense of security. And I want Bell, pull up that video I sent you of the one I titled John Doyle Still Spreading Bullshit About Massie After a Loss. Because I feel like this is one of the videos of this is kind of the thing that we've been talking about this entire episode, about how Thomas Massie is still in their head. And it's weird because neocons almost need an autopsy report of why they won. It's that weird thing of like, sometimes when you lose, you win. And sometimes when you win, you lose. And I feel like that this might be one of them. So Brad Palumbo had Dave Smith, John Doyle, and I forget who's the guy on the right, Corey.
Chris, I think it's like Hassan or Hesse or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
But he's known for doing this exact thing, but he is a Democrat.
Watch John Doyle get absolutely fucking rolled by Dave Smith and Brad Palumbo. Go ahead and roll it, Bill. I'm going to take a leak, but I'm listening. Go for it.
Do you really think this administration's problem is Thomas Massie and it's going swimmingly, and he's the reason that you're not going to be able to achieve like your anti-immigration vision?
Not precisely, no. And I guess to respond to that briefly, I don't really know if I even believe in the principle itself, because you remember also in the first Trump administration, Massie voted against emergency authorization funding for the wall. So that was without the $4 trillion, and he still voted against that. So he seems to be principally opposed.
That wasn't a standalone. It was another giant spending bill.
Okay, well, the point being,
the continued resolution is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the point being, it doesn't seem that he has this like principle. It's like the ratchet mechanism where it's only a principled stand against something when it actually like helps Republicans win, and then every other time, he can vote like in lockstep with Democrats more or less. But regarding Thomas Massie,
it's just a lie. It's just not true at all.
Regarding whether Massie
make stuff up, like.
Nothing I'm saying is incorrect. Literally, none of this is incorrect.
No. Objectively, what you just said is incorrect, that he votes with the Democrats most of the time.
Thomas Massie is the most likely Republican representative to vote with Democrats.
That's a different statement. It's not the factually incorrect one that you just made.
Different bills I would assign different weights to. So effectively, yeah, the guy is a Democrat, which is why, Democrats love him. That's why we have Democrat influencers praising his integrity.
Heritage Action, Turning Point, the pro-life groups, the NRA, all give this guy excellent, above average.
They're all Democratic groups, Brad. Tucker Carlson is a Democratic. He's a Democratic show host, and Candace.
Yeah, those are like the fun wedge
Kelly.
Bumper sticker issues. Those are not the issues that actually decide power. Issues like immigration are far more important for actually deciding who holds power in this country. So insofar as Thomas Massie's weak on that, yeah, at the end of the day, like, the guy's basically a Democrat. We can all get up on stage and talk about the right to life or the right to own guns. That's the fun stuff that we argue about at Thanksgiving. What actually decides the composition and political function of the country is the border, is sovereignty. And Massie's weak on that issue.
So pro-life doesn't matter now? It's only immigration?
I thought, and you say I make the straw man's. Every other issue is downstream of immigration. People who are coming into this country from the third world have far more liberal attitudes about literally every policy, including even things like pro-life issues, abortion issues, stuff like that. So yes, insofar as we have more of those people coming into the country, legally or illegally, the Democrat Party is going to have greater room to maneuver and become further left, which is why the country has become so far left in the past 60 years. It's not because the Democrats got better at making arguments. It's because they changed the composition of the country to people who are more sympathetic to leftist, collectivist attitudes coming from.
So the question there is
countries.
Why the most extreme Democrats are the white Democrats who were born in America, and the less extreme, less woke Democratic voters tend to be the racial minority voter base. But I'll bring in Chris here. I mean, you're the Democrat. You're the one involved in Democratic politics. Do you see Thomas Massie and his scorecard and his legislative record and think one of us?
No, absolutely not. And again, like I was live streaming last night, reacting to some of the election results, and I wanted Thomas Massie to win purely for our like democracy. I just think it's bad if there's a party that is again, purely based off loyalty to the president. So no, I don't view Thomas Massie as, quote, one of us, but I appreciated the work that he did on the Epstein files. He seemed principled in other issues. I don't know Thomas Massie's, particular voting record off the top of my head. But again, I'm just kind of, I think it's good for our country if the party is not full of loyalists. And I'm sitting back kind of listening to all this, like, Donald, if only, not to be this guy, Dave or Brad, but if only somebody was screaming and yelling, hey, the president's a liar. He doesn't actually mean what he says about no new wars or releasing the Epstein files or any of this stuff. And so now, again, objectively, the Republican Party is kind of starting to crumble here, and Donald Trump is the most unpopular he's ever been, with inflation skyrocketing and the Iran war happening and the Epstein files nowhere to be found.
Oh, I don't know why I thought that video was a little bit longer, but I guess it wasn't. What's funny is there's a comment right below this video, and this is one of those things that I wish I had thought of myself, but it's like, Thomas Massie is a Democrat because he votes against all the bills that make you a Democrat if you vote against them. That's basically what John Doyle is saying there. I mean, it is just wild to me. So again, why am I white pilled even after a Thomas Massie loss? The neocons and the Trump loyalists, dude, they're still on the back foot politically. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that wild that you can look on X and you can look on social media and talk about, hey, massholes, seethe and cope. But it's like, you're still the ones that politically are on the back foot. To me, that's amazing. Like, it is, I guess, as promising and as happy as this, I could have felt like this loss was after the fact, if that makes sense. They're still on the back foot.
Yeah.
You win and you're on the back foot. That's wild to me. That's never happened before.
Yeah, well, because that's what happens when you make a sucker punch, right? You do a sucker punch in a fight in front of, you're like in the hallway. Like, you can get away with a sucker punch underneath the bleachers when there's only like, when you and 3 of your friends come across someone you don't like and not everyone's watching, but like, you sucker punch someone in the hallway or in the middle of a mall or wherever you are, in a crowded bar. You sucker punch someone, it's going to look like you won for a couple seconds. But then all of a sudden, everyone's like, no, this guy, out of nowhere, just decked this guy. You technically won the fight because the guy wasn't swinging on you anymore. But
so let's go ahead.
I mean, public opinion is still not on your side.
Right. Yeah. Because that's another thing that like people like John Doyle are not able to deal with, which is like, yeah, Donald Trump still has whatever it is, a 33% approval rating right now. And it's what they're doing is they're treating this win like it's a national election, when all the rest of us realize that it's a closed primary in a small district in Kentucky where the Israel lobby pumped $32 million $32 million into it. Like, this strategy that they just used, I mean, bravo, like, congratulations. It worked, and I understand why it worked. This doesn't work in a national election. There's no chance this works in a national election. Why? Because national elections, while they don't show up as much as boomers do, young people show up a hell of a lot more. And if you don't think that this was if this were an open primary, that there wouldn't have been Democrats that would have made the crossover, like the guy in the video there, it kind of sounds like if he were living in the 4th district of Kentucky, even as a guy who's openly for Democratic politics, wouldn't have crossed over and voted for Thomas Massie. I think you're out of your mind.
Yeah,
I think you're out of your mind. 10,000 votes from a percentage perspective in the 4th district of Kentucky. Yep, that's a blowout. But that's not a lot of votes. I mean, that's really not a lot of votes. When we're sitting here talking about, we were sitting here talking about after 2016. I mean, we weren't, because our show didn't exist yet. But we've talked about it many times since, that, Donald Trump essentially won that election by 50,000 votes over what was it, 16 districts or something like that. I think it was close. And the same with 2020. It was roughly the same numbers, I do believe. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I got that backwards. I might have that backwards. But either way, that's not a lot of votes. Like from a raw number perspective, it's not a lot of votes. So I love the way Thomas Massie gave his concession speech. I realize we've spent an hour and 10 minutes now talking about it. It's really important to Corey and I, this subject, and Thomas Massie's a really important political figure to us, and we don't have a lot of them. I mean, he's the embodiment of the Ron Paul revolution that I've been radicalized by at this point.
I still feel dirty personally, like even saying he's someone I care about, because I'm so fucking turned off by any politician. Was it Kathy Mayhew Warren or Kathy? How do you say her name? Kathy Mayhew Ward.
Catherine Mayhew Ward.
I said it kind of close. Yeah, Catherine Mayhew Ward.
The editor-in-chief at Reason Magazine.
All politicians are dirty and they all let you down and they're all gross and you shouldn't hold any of them to any sort of standard. I still try to really hold that to a point after I've been hurt so many times by politicians. And Thomas Massie is definitely one who is in a swamp. He's the one in Waiters.
Yeah, and it's like, if you think of all of the politicians in at least in national politics, what are we talking about? I don't know. Let's call it 1,000 people. If you include,
House, the Senate, appointments,
the judiciary, and all that stuff. It's basically him and Ron Paul for me. That's it. I mean, that's essentially it. And there are other guys. There are other guys and gals that I have respect for. I give Marjorie Taylor Greene a lot of credit for gaining my respect
as of late. But you know what? She's the type of person that she'll piss me off a week from now.
She might. But there's Ro Khanna.
The reason why I say Thomas Massie's in Waiters, it's just he is so goddamn principled that whether I disagree with him or agree with him, he didn't change. He didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
The sun rises and the sun sets in the west and comes up in the east every single day, and I can rely on that. And I feel like I could rely on Thomas Massie's voting record the same way.
Yeah.
That it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to always agree with you, but if you're at least principled and like truly, honestly fucking principled, and you don't sway with the wind based on some populist shit, then I at least know where you're always going to come from when I disagree with you.
It's
so wild, right? It's so fucking wild because I feel like most people I have political conversations with, they're stuck and they're going to be in that position that they've always been. It's become a part of their personality when it comes to politics, social issues, culture issues. When I bring something up to just a friend around me, I know the answer they're going to give me because I know them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the answer they're going to give me, and I might say it just to get them to say it, to try to poke and prod at it. And I feel like Thomas Massie is that type of person. And he's not going to all of a sudden completely flip on me one day or the other because someone gave him $20 to disagree with me the day before.
It's interesting you say that too, Corey, because I think you and I in our personal lives approach politics very differently. And I don't think either of us is right or wrong, but it sounds like it's always sounded like in the 5 years we've been doing the show, you are not afraid to have a political conversation essentially with anybody in your life. Yeah, and I wouldn't say that I'm afraid. I just don't. I separate it. I have you, I have Bell, I have the show, I have our listeners, and I have a couple of buddies that I have these conversations with. But like I compartmentalize the people that I talk politics with versus the people that I don't talk politics with.
99% of the time, Dan, it goes all right for me. The only time it didn't, that I can really say that it didn't really
was at my wedding.
Was at your wedding, and she brought it up.
Not my wife, by the way, because that's what that just sounded like, right? By the way,
no, yeah, not your wife, but she brought it up.
It was the bartender.
Corey got the conversation.
Corey got in a political argument with the bartender at my wedding.
She still served me after, so it was all kosher on my end. I didn't give a fuck. But like, I had to get pulled away from the conversation. Dan was like, "Come over here, Corey."
Corey was.
And I felt like I was being tucked in.
I don't. You have to admit you were a little tuned up at the time.
Dude, a little. If the volume was at 10, I broke the knob. Like it could go to 11.
Time for a little drinking pool. Cheers, genitals.
Probably what I said. And she goes, "Oh, genitals. Yes, I love politics."
That's actual audio from Corey at my wedding.
Time for a little drinking pool.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know if we have time to get to everything here tonight, but we definitely have to talk about two things for sure. This new Trump anti-weaponization fund. Why do I find this terrifying and also hilarious at the same time? Just last week, I do believe on this show, we played that fucking well-produced video of J.D. Vance talking about how no corruption is too big or too small. Meanwhile, you have Trump's DOJ and Trump's IRS. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he oversees both as the executive of the country. Having a phony argument, in my estimation, about Trump's lawsuits against the IRS for releasing his tax returns. Now, listen, Trump actually has a legitimate legal argument there. I'm not going to shit on him for that. However, in true Trump fashion, he took it and used it essentially to his advantage. I mean, credit where credit's due, I suppose. But basically, Trump's IRS agreed to drop their lawsuit, or I'm sorry, Trump agreed to drop his lawsuit against the IRS in return for a few things, right? Remember that that Latin term that was being thrown around so often with regards to Ukraine, Corey? That
something about squids.
Yeah, something about a squid pro quo.
Yeah, squid pro quo.
The quid pro quo, right? That's kind of what this sounds like. And I'm going to shit on Democrats again for just a minute here. This is why you don't cry wolf. This is why you don't do Russiagate. This is why, Corey and I and many others that are not Trump fans have defended Trump on the Russiagate stuff and all of the ridiculous lawsuits and impeachments. Not because we like Trump, but because we knew they were bullshit. And when you constantly spew bullshit and you constantly cry wolf, it's like when you run around and say that everyone's a Nazi or a racist. Suddenly nobody cares when they're called a Nazi or a racist. And then when the Nazis and racists show up, nobody pays attention, right? So this is very, very similar to that, where you have Trump's crypto scam going on right now. You have Trump pitting his own IRS and his own DOJ against each other to get exactly what he wants. So what does this one do? Bars the IRS from auditing him, his family, and his companies, which is
indefinitely.
Right. Does anybody else get that? Corey, if the IRS comes to your house tomorrow and decides they want to audit you, do you just get to say, no, you can't do it? Does any other American get to do that?
But I remember when you and I were getting shit from Democrats who are bitching about this now, when the IRS wanted to create 80,000 armed guards.
No, that was when Joe Biden hired 88,000 new IRS agents.
Right. And they all had to make sure they had their seat. You remember like what it was? Like they all had to like get like pistol licenses or get their CPLs and like be trained in firearms. And the IRS was bad.
Was?
But now
why did you just say that in past tense?
Well, because now it's fine. Like fuck.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I guess it's still fuck the IRS, but it's fuck the IRS for Trump and his family.
No,
no one
dude,
else.
No, I'm gonna push back on that, and you're gonna end up agreeing. So I don't even know why I'm calling this a pushback. But the IRS is the 1 criminal organization in the world.
Oh, I agree.
That's just what they are. They're thieves. They're career thieves. That's all they do. I actually know somebody that works for the IRS. I can't stand them.
Don't steal. The government hates competition.
So anyway, this another thing that came out of this was that Trump is trying to start a anti-weaponization fund that apparently is overseen by nothing legally, is just run by the DOJ, and it gives Trump or his administration, whatever, the ability to just hand money out. I'm not going to say your tax dollars because that hasn't been determined yet. But
it's either your tax dollars or you end up paying for it anyways through inflation.
Right. So
that's how it works in America. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's
America has lost 90% of the value of the dollar since 1913 or whatever.
Yeah, I believe 1913.
I feel like we should bring that up on the show every single time, Dan, at some point in the show.
What's that?
That the U.S. dollar has lost 90% of its value in the last 100 years.
I know, but by all means, raise minimum wage. That'll solve the problem.
Just give the military a $1.5 trillion budget. That'll solve the problem.
Well, yeah, exactly. But isn't this just so the way Trump does things just out in the open that are utterly, at best unethical, and at worst completely illegal. I do love that he just does it out in the open instead of behind closed doors like past administrations have done.
Yeah, if we get our shit together, if America gets their shit together and shores up all these loose ends, we are seeing at best, between Trump's first term and this term, the greatest stress test on our Constitution. And that the Trump administration, that through a clear eye, someone could look back and go, oh, so the founding fathers had a great document here, and this person found all of the loopholes, and we need to close all of those.
Or
then
just
Trump, and if that happens after Trump's presidency, and
we'll go back and call Trump the greatest president of all time.
Dude, you took the words right out of my fucking mouth.
Just like in a really indirect way.
In a really indirect way, he would be the best president of all time because he found all of the problems and all of the flaws in this imperfect document that was created in order to create a more perfect union.
I don't hate that. It's kind of crazy, but I love it. And at the same time, obviously this slush fund, Corey, is completely illegal. The Justice Department can't just create a slush fund out of thin air without
so far they can.
approval.
It has to be challenged. So far they can.
I know. But without congressional approval, when you're
Don't worry, Chuck Schumer's already working on a strongly worded letter.
While he's cooking a burger with cheese on the raw meat.
Jesus Christ, that fucking robot. My God. I had that picture pop up. I was looking through my photos for something else. I think a photo of my kid 2 years ago, just to hear his voice when he's young. And if you're not a parent, you don't get it. But it's like when you're a parent and hearing the kid's voice change, you look for it for reference just to see how fast time has gone. It's a wild little ride. But as I'm looking for this photo of my kid saying, "Nice beach, mommy," and then the picture of Chuck Schumer looking at the camera with raw fucking burgers with cheese on them on the grill. It's like, what the fuck? Is this real life?
Go Bills.
It is, and it's sad.
Go Bills.
Fucking boomers. Back to fucking boomers. You want to talk about boomers again?
No, they make me mad enough as it is.
They write strongly worded letters at least.
Yeah, yes, they do. and they vote.
Talking about how Nazis are taking over, but that's it. That's all we get is a strongly worded letter.
Obviously, the Justice Department can't create a slush fund out of thin air without congressional approval when you're dealing with appropriated money. So the DOJ has to answer that question. Where does this money come from? And it might be like Trump with the ballroom. It might be like, oh, it's going to be all funded. It's going to be all donated. And then we're going to have to send the money to fucking Iran instead.
Or it's going to be,
it's going to be tax dollars.
It's privately funded. And then there's going to be in some appropriations bill, like $1 billion, $1.5 billion going to administration fees for the new IRS.
You're going to have to hire some new employees.
Weaponization program. What happened to Doge, Dan?
I don't know. What happened to Elon? I haven't heard a word from him in like a year.
I don't know, but one of his ex-bitches is out there saying a bunch of shit, saying he manufactured the election.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
What's her name? Ashley St. Clair. I don't know. I mean, like that. Going back to what I was saying earlier, it's like the vibes and the culture was in Trump's favor. That I don't think he had to cheat to win, but he might have. Who fucking knows? If it was cheated for Trump to win, Trump didn't know about it. I'll say that right now.
He couldn't. Because he would accidentally accidentally says the truth all the time. Basically,
if there was a cheat happening in the past election for president, Trump doesn't know about it, and I don't think anyone will change their mind on that because he would say something. Then again, though, he's really good at keeping the Epstein shit quiet.
Well, that's because he'll die.
He would probably die if the election was found out to be fraud.
He's going to die
tried to
soon
kill him
anyway,
like 4 times anyways already.
He's going to die of clogged arteries soon anyways, but anyway.
Yeah, but there's already been a few attempts on his life that, like, do you think that number would increase or decrease if America found out he cheated that election to win? To make our country shit?
Dude, would it really matter? Because his people wouldn't believe it anyway.
It doesn't matter if it matters or not. Do you think it would increase or decrease?
Honestly,
if the election was basically proven without saying it was proven, like the pedophilic shit. If it was proven without it being proven, then not only Trump is a pedophile, but he also cheated his way into the 2024 election. Would the assassination attempts increase or decrease?
I think it's tough to say.
That's not tough to say. They would increase. That's why he'll never say it.
There's already been 3. I don't think there's ever been 3 assassinations on a single president.
You're including. Well, yeah. So 4 if you include the
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Right, because there was what? Butler,
the one at the golf course
guy, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I feel like there was a 4th, wasn't there?
I don't know. That just shows you how desensitized we are. We don't even know how many times there's.
This shows you how popular our president is, I guess. I don't know.
But basically,
I don't know because one of the most popular ones actually got killed. So it's like that's tough to decide. If you're super popular, you're gonna get killed. If you're not popular at all, you might get killed. That's what American politics tell you.
But basically,
that's
Trump
why Obama hovered around.
Finish.
50%.
I feel like I'm your wife right now. Finish.
I'm just like, shut up. Give me a second.
Basically, Trump gets to give your money, or his administration gets to give your money with this this weaponization fund. He gets to give your money to basically whomever he sees fit under the guise of quote unquote people being mean to them, essentially, without any legal process. But what I would ask is, and this is kind of a rhetorical question, who do you think is going to get that money? Because, is it going to go to like the impoverished family whose dad was swept up in an FBI dragnet and accused of trying to kidnap a governor? Maybe some of the money will go to that.
No, it's probably literally going to go to Trump and his family.
Right. So that was going to be my next point, which is it maybe some of it goes to those people, just enough to kind of keep everybody quiet. But then it's also going to go to Trump's buddies and Trump's family who have been investigated for things like the Epstein files and other corruption.
Right. It's going to go to the people who were able to afford dealing with the legal shit, and then also still being better off than the average American.
Yeah, totally fine, right? But so
and even if it doesn't, the entire Trump fucking conglomerate of 75 people are never going to be audited ever again.
Kind of seems that way. But the big response I've seen to that is like, but the January 6th.
Like, imagine if people were up in arms about, and we were too, and it's justifiably, objectifiably right that we were up in arms that Hunter Biden got a pre-pardon for being a crackhead
from his own dad.
Who was the president before this. Mostly people on the right, people on the left were like, whoa, the Trump administration was going to come after him. It's like, well, they probably were. You're right. You're right. Like, that's a solid argument. You're probably right. Trump administration was going to come after him. But
honestly, dude,
on the right,
I don't know that they would have.
No, they would have 100%. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind at all.
Hindsight.
Biden.
Hindsight being 2020, I don't know that they would have, because of everything that's taken place since.
They haven't, because everything took place because we're in the war in Iran, Dan, because they couldn't.
Yeah, but they barely went. They barely went.
We're in the war in Iran because they couldn't indict Hunter Biden, and if you think it's because of Israel, you're anti-Semitic.
But the problem with that is, Corey, the fact that he made all these statements.
Fuck, we can't get Biden. All right, I guess we'll just go to war with Iran.
No.
No. You'd expect from this administration. I would.
No, but here's the thing: they made this big stink about going after James Comey and going after all of these people that push the Russiagate quote unquote hoax, which actually I shouldn't even say quote unquote, because it actually kind of turned out to be a hoax.
But
they didn't do any of that.
Back when Trump was against FISA. It's a whole new ball game now because Hunter Biden got pardoned, Dan.
That's why the whole world.
That's what changed everything.
The biggest argument
I'm
I've
making
seen,
this joke, but it's like, as I continue to say it, it's like, oh, there actually might be some legs to this.
But the biggest argument I've seen about the anti-weaponization fund is probably mostly from Twitter boomers, but it's like, what about the J6ers? They were unfairly treated. And listen,
I would say probably 50% of them were.
And I was going to say, and listen, and many were. I actually agree with that fact. But we already have a legal process for that. If Trump wants to reach into his little bag of billions from his crypto and his stock trading scams
to take care of the ones that were truly fucked with,
to pay for their legal bills, he's more than welcome to do that. What he can't do is reach into public coffers to do such. It wasn't. Listen.
Yeah, because now this isn't something out of goodwill from his heart. He's literally stealing money from you and I, who watched the videos from January 6th and went, "Oh wow, a bunch of dumbasses."
It was a fucking riot. I guess let's compensate the so. Obviously, we know what the Democrats say.
Anybody needs to be compensated, it's the ones that got confused because there were police officers holding the door open to the Capitol saying, "Come in."
Okay, fair argument. But here's what I would say is we already know what the Chuck Schumers and the Nancy Pelosi's and all of the, establishment Democrats would say about this, which is it was an insurrection, right? And they've convinced a lot of idiots that was the case. What I think you and I both agree on, Corey, is that it was not an insurrection. It was a fucking riot, okay? It was a riot. So if it was a riot and we have to compensate all these people for being treated so poorly, well, I guess logic would tell you that we should compensate those that got swept up in the Summer of Love riots and the George Floyd riots too.
Also that.
But no. We can't have that because those are the bad guys and we're the good guys. We don't compensate the bad
You're
guys.
absolutely right. If someone just went down, like I went to a couple protests during the George Floyd shit that I went down there in good faith. I handed out water bottles. I was walking around, but all it would have taken was one rock thrown from a bad faith actor, one asshole to like cause some shit to all of a sudden tear gas is being thrown, and then I get swept up in it because I'm down there passing out water bottles. I would feel.
Can I just point out that I'm looking at Bell in backstage right now, and he looks like Weekend at Bernie's right now. He's got the sunglasses on. He's got the beach background. We're gonna throw him on the screen for you. There he is.
No, he's on a tanker. He's been stuck in the fucking.
I'm in the Straits. I've been here for like
the Strait of Hormuz for a month. He's still there.
He's on a tanker. I don't know why I thought that was a beach.
He's on a tanker, man. He's been stuck in the Strait of Hormuz for like 3 weeks.
I'm just happy to be alive.
He's had the same background for a few episodes now.
Bell, did you bother to rate any of those shipping containers behind you? What's in them?
Children. It's from the Israel port. No, but he's actually out there. He's on a flotilla that hasn't been caught yet. Thank God you weren't on the flotilla that the president of Ireland's sister was on. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
The president of Ireland's sister was on a flotilla, and she was international water, and Israel came out into international water and fucking. She's saying she was kidnapped, but yeah, she was detained and captured by a nation, even though she was the citizen of another sovereign nation, international water. So basically, pirates came and grabbed her.
And Ben Gvir is detaining activists and singing the Israeli national anthem and
and
heads on the floor.
Christian nuns and priests and visitors to Israel are being spit on by the youth. But
yeah, that's the most moral nation in the Middle East.
It's the only democracy in the Middle East, Dan.
Well, it's not, but that's fair. A democracy where, a huge percentage of the population won't vote.
Where in 4 years since when did October 7th happen? Was it 2022, 2023?
I don't even remember anymore. I think it was 23.
All right. So where the same amount of people who are press were killed in 3 years as they were in the 20 years in Vietnam. Or I think Vietnam, I might be going out of bounds, but I think it might be Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, and World War II combined.
By the way, has anybody seen Randy Fine and Ben Gvir in the same room at the same time? Because I'm pretty sure Randy Fine just puts on a spray tan and he's actually Ben Gvir because they look exactly
they're in the same room. It's just that's an orgy typically.
They're both fat fucks.
And no one's checking IDs for that orgy.
But I guess I'm an anti-Semite for saying that.
Oh, fuck. That makes me one too now.
Yeah.
Why do you have to bring that up? I was just making a joke.
It's tough out there
for pieces of shit, and then you brought up.
Corey, it's tough out there for an anti-Semite right now. It's difficult.
The biggest load that we've seen.
Should we talk about Cuba real quick?
Yeah, they're fucked.
Bill, did I send you that Rubio video? I think I did. Go ahead and get that one ready.
Go ahead and play the video. I'm gonna take a piss.
So yeah, I'll set it up real quick. So it's kind of hard to not believe at this point with everything that we've seen, both with Venezuela and Iran, that Cuba really is coming. Like we really are going to invade Cuba. And if not invade, blow it off the face of the earth. And how do I know that that's probably going to happen? Maybe Dan Bongino will call me a panikin tomorrow or something like that. But what you're about to see Marco Rubio say here, it is just insane to me that they don't even bother to change the rhetoric. They don't even bother to adjust it just a little bit. Again, from 2002, it's always weapons of mass destruction. It's always terrorists. It's always some sort of economic threat. It's not a long video, but go ahead and roll it, Bell. Go ahead. Let's see what Marco Rubio has to say about Cuba.
Here's what I can tell you. Cuba not only has weapons that they've acquired from Russia and China over the years,
check,
but they also host Russia and Chinese intelligence presence in their country, not far from where we're standing right now. So Cuba has always posed a national security threat to the United States. They, by the way, have been one of the leading sponsors of terrorism in the entire region. You look at the groups that work out of Colombia that have destabilized that country over the years with full support from this regime over there. So Cuba's consistently posed a threat to the national security of the United States. And the other thing that poses a threat to the national security of the United States.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean it's fine. It's most of it. I did not mean to click that, but I took Marco Rubio off the screen because, well, the last 10 seconds of that was just more bullshit anyway. But do you notice the exact same language? Cuba's always posed a national security threat. That sounds a lot like we've been at war with Iran for 47 years, but nobody ever talked about the fact that we were at war with Iran for 47 years. But all of a sudden, one day, we're at war with Iran for 47 years. That's exactly
Cuba. The same thing. We're at war with Cuba for 37
you weren't
years.
You weren't listening. That was the comparison I was making.
I knew that's the comparison you're making. I was listening.
The fact that Marco Rubio just did that. They've always been a threat to the United States. But the other one I think
he brought up Russia, he brought up China, he brought up all the different pinpoints. And it's funny because as I was listening to what you were saying, I just saw a headline the other day and it was like the Cuban drone threat.
Here we go. They just repurpose all this shit. They don't even try. And who's going to buy it, Corey? You know the answer to this question.
The fucking boomers.
It's going to be the idiot, retarded boomers. That's who it's going to be that is going to buy all this shit. Because I find it really interesting since both Marco Rubio and you now brought up China. I find it really, really interesting that Chinese weapons are a major threat, but yet Trump was just in Beijing last week begging Xi Jinping for money and help opening the Strait of Hormuz. But their weapons going to Cuba are a huge problem. By the way, weapons that we have no way of proving have actually gone there. And the other one is like, we have gotten to a point now where we're talking about a nation being a state sponsor of terror in the Western Hemisphere. Now, that was maybe for idiot boomers a semi-believable talking point when it came to the Middle East. Is it going to be a more difficult sell in the Western Hemisphere? I got a really weird feeling that it won't be. The state-sponsored terrorism, like these buzzwords, these buzz phrases.
Yeah, that right there. One of the largest state-sponsored terrorism. One of the largest state sponsors of terrorism in the Western Hemisphere. What? I'm sorry. All the atrocities that we see happening in the Western Hemisphere is typically based on the fucking drug war that America started in the first place.
How dare you say that? How dare you?
Is that out of pocket?
So out of pocket. It's actually, honestly, Corey, it's anti-Semitic.
Oh, when you say this, it sounds so white.
You can just shut up, baby, because you hate America and you love abortion.
You do. You hate America and you love abortion. That's it.
Why'd you tell everyone my pet name from you, baby?
You can just shut up, baby, because you hate America and you love abortion.
You got anything to add to that, Corey? Like, I think it's coming.
No,
it has to be coming.
It all depends on whether or not Trump, like, well, Trump's gonna need a distraction when he fucking tucks his tail between his legs and runs away from Iran. So it's gonna be Cuba.
Are you saying Trump doesn't have agency? Like Ben Shapiro?
Well, no, here's the thing. It's like he does, and he gave it up for a little bit, and now he might have agency. And now he's like, oh my God, I really fucked up with this Iran thing.
But he'll never admit it.
He won't admit it. He's just going to say, we blew them up. We got rid of their bombs.
We got to win.
He's going to use the same talking points from the attack in Iran in last June or July or wherever it fucking happened.
Very successful, very rich.
And then he's just going to make the whole conversation go to Cuba real quick. Venezuela's going great. Yeah, we said that about Iran for the first 3 fucking years after we toppled them back in the 50s.
Listen, I've got to give a clue here now. I don't want any more bullshit anytime during the day.
And, you know, and like that's what's actually interesting too, right? It's like, I feel like Cuba is probably one of the only examples of communism actually kind of working. Granted, the standard of living is lower, but it's survived this long. Their healthcare system is better than ours. The life expectancy in that country is higher than ours. The literacy rate is higher than ours. And this is all being 90 miles away from the American border with our sanctions and everything just straight fucking just literally choking them until they pass out and then letting go. And then when they come to, choking them again.
They're cheating, they're crooked, they're corrupt.
It's one of the only examples of communism like working okay.
To the extent that it can work. Because China, by the way, is actually more fascist than it is communist, if you really want to break it down. And maybe we will on an episode one day.
It's fascism with capitalism. Yeah, it's fascist capitalism. That's not a free market either. That government is still telling how all of those people, they're just extorting cheap labor. When it comes down, which side are you on? Which side are you on? But Cuba is and when I say this, I'm not disparaging the people in Cuba at all. I'm just talking about a resilient creature. It's like a fucking cockroach. Like it's just fucking still fucking going.
After the nukes drop, the only things that will be left are cockroaches in Cuba.
Yeah, no, I'd honestly like if I somehow like found a way to bury myself 50 miles under the earth's crust and the entire world was like completely encrusted over with nuclear radiation.
Blanket is a blessing.
And then someone is like, yeah, the only thing left is cockroaches. And I'm like, that makes sense. And they'd be like, and Cuba. Like, yeah, that also makes sense. They just survived. I would never, ever want to live under Cuba's like government. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they call me Cuban Pete.
But I still admire the fact that they're just
I'm the king of the
and they're on an island. They're not even landlocked. They can't just build railroads. Like, I bet you their railroads are just as
chicky boom, chicky boom, chicky boom.
Like when like everyone's like, oh yeah, but the trains ran on time, you know, in Russia. The trains probably run on time in Cuba as well. It's just they have a lot less fucking space to travel from east to west.
They might do a terror attack on Key West too. I heard that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. False flag says what?
Yeah, right.
They've
Key
never
West.
ever like it. Why is it like a country? Cuba's a threat, and Cuba's been a threat
in the form of a mushroom cloud over Key West.
yeah. So Cuba's been this threat for 50
Mango
60
tear.
fucking years.
What it revert, tear?
But the terrorist attack doesn't happen until after our government says that they want to do a terrorist attack. I don't know. Like if I'm a bank robber and someone goes, we think this guy is going to rob this bank. I'm not going to rob that fucking bank because then they'll know it was me. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that a fair analogy, synonym, metaphor?
We're panicking. It's probably coming. The invasion is coming. The bombing is coming. Marco Rubio wants it too bad.
Well, fuck. They should have just did that one instead of Iran. Objectively speaking, if I had to choose between the two, I'd just fucking Cuba.
America, fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day.
Anyway, shall we get out of here?
Yeah, might as well. We're just yelling at air anyways.
I know. We're just old men yelling at cloud now.
LibSortive Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libsortiveshow.com. We can be found at LibSortive on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibSortivePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at LibSortive Podcast. And you can reach out directly at libsortivepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
For Bella Body Snatcher on the ones and twos, he as always has been Corey Walsh.
And he's been Dan Griffin. And
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
All senior citizens should have Life Alert.
Found it for those fucking retarded boomers.
This has been Libservative Intellectual Idiots fostering political and cultural literacy and the world's smartest internet show. And until next time,
I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
Shut up, bitch!
we are out of here.
Peace.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.